What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe in the channel as you come in and check out the content on the channel. Also, today I want to speak on the situation with Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga. Right now, as you all know, the Golden State Warriors recently got eliminated from the playoffs by the Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks, right? So they got eliminated, and now everybody's talking about. So what's their next move? Will they bring back Jimmy? What they're going to do with Jimmy Butler? Can they run it back with Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. They'll just be like a year older. So is that trio strong enough to carry them throughout next season? And part of and also people are wondering about, like, well, what do you do with Jonathan Kuminga? You know, the Warriors didn't want to renew his contract, or sign him to an extension, so they just basically just held off signing him. Also, Jonathan Kuminga was not happy with like the way he was being used in Golden State. They didn't allow him, and he feels that they didn't allow him the opportunity to grow and get to grow into that team and be what the team could need for the future. It's always been about Steph Curry, in which rightfully so. But I think that Steve Kerr, in my opinion, could have done a better job of phasing in somebody like Jonathan Kuminga. You know, because they knew that Steph Curry, and Draymond Green wasn't going to be there forever. So basically, you want to prepare for the future. And they didn't do that. Jonathan Kuminga, at certain points in time in the season, he really wasn't even getting a lot of, he wasn't even getting a lot of run. And so that's where also, again, like I said, Jonathan Kuminga was not happy with Steve Kerr and the way he's being utilized on that team. And so, I think that it's obvious that the Golden State Warriors just sold out on making it. They put everything into making it, seeing how far they could get this season. And when Steph Curry got hurt in the playoffs, and they had to turn to Jonathan Kuminga. Also, again, I think that he probably was he probably thought that was like a smack in the face. He was like, oh, so now y'all need me, and you're gonna put me in the game when they could have been developing him and bringing him in throughout the season. Whereas though, when you put somebody in a pressure situation like the playoffs and then expect them to perform, you basically you asking for a miracle. You put somebody like Jonathan Kuminga in a tough position, and it's just hard. It's hard for a person to come off the bench and be ready to play. Just imagine coming off the bench in a playoff game, and these are must-win situations. That's just a lot to ask of a player. But if that person is prepared, throughout the season, then they'll stand a better chance of really performing in the playoffs. And so that's where I think that the Golden State Warriors messed up. I don't think that Jonathan Kuminga will be there next season. I think that because he don't have a great relationship with Steve Kerr, I think that Jonathan Kuminga will probably be somewhere like San Antonio. He would fit in great there. He also could go he could go to maybe the Houston Rockets, or even the Mavericks. He might even go to the Dallas Mavericks. So one of those teams, I believe one of those teams in Texas will be a team that pick up Jonathan Kuminga. Because it'll just be so hard with all of the water that's gone under the bridge, so to say, with the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga. It'll just be so hard for them to right that ship, and for them to be able to get that relationship back on course. So what do the Golden State Warriors do next season in order for them to to be able to win a championship. And that's where I think Giannis Antetokounmpo comes in, right? So Giannis comes, Giannis is it's a good chance that Giannis probably won't be in with the Bucks next year, right? So I think Giannis personally would fit great with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. Giannis is somebody who he has championship experience. He won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I think Giannis will fit in great with them. Now the only thing though about Giannis going there is like Giannis is younger than those two guys, right? So Giannis has to also consider his future. Like, okay, even if he goes to Golden State next year and they win a championship, what next? Like after that, like, because Steph Curry, I don't know how many years Steph Curry got and how effective he will be, Steph Curry or Draymond Green will be, um, going beyond next year, like how effective will they really be? And so that's something else that, Giannis have to think about as far as him going to Golden State. I think that now if I'm Giannis, probably the best place. I mean, Giannis could also go to the Houston Rockets. I think that's a good look for him. Could he play in Dallas? He could play in Dallas, or he could be with the Spurs too. Those teams are up and coming. So that might be a good spot for him though. But I don't know. I think Giannis with Steph Curry, I think that's a good look. But it depends on also, like I said, if Giannis wants to go there, risk getting a ring. Even if they get a ring under the best of circumstances, then what do you do after that? So now Giannis could sign a short-term contract with Golden State, and then whatever happens after that, after that stint or that contract is up, then Giannis could say, well, it's time for me to move on. I think if I'm Giannis and I do decide to go to Golden State, I'm not signing anything over 2 or 3 years, and maybe 2 years. I probably would just max it out at a 2-year contract because you don't know what the future holds for Steph. Who's going to be on the team? Like what pieces will you have when Steph and Draymond are gone? You know, yeah, and basically, I think, in my opinion, I think Golden State really could have been in a better position than what they are now. I think when Draymond Green hit that guy, what's his name, Jordan Poole. When Draymond Green ran Jordan Poole out of town, I think that hurt the team. As far as their chemistry, because Jordan Poole, although he's not been that effective with the Wizards, he was really effective, and he fit into the system that Golden State runs. And so I thought Jordan Poole was a key piece, to their success. But Draymond Green ran them out of town. Um, and so the team elected to basically side with Draymond Green. Also, who else did they get rid of? They got rid of Andrew Wiggins. I thought that was a mistake. And who else they got rid of? Barnes, the Barnes guy. Because all of these guys are a little bit younger than Steph. And so because they were familiar with that system that Steve Kerr liked to run, I think they would, at least they'd have kept, or at least would have kept Wiggins and maybe not Barnes, but if they had kept Wiggins and Poole, I think they would have been better off, than where they are off now. They'd have been stronger and been able to make a more a more serious playoff run. But I think when Draymond Green, like I said, once he hit that kid, Jordan Poole, it just really it really hurt the team. And another thing that Steve Kerr did that hurt the team, that he plays small ball. And so you have a lot of times when you play small ball, you had these guys playing out of position. For instance, like Gary Payton the third, I think he's like 6'2", 6'3", and sometimes they have him playing like against small forwards. When really he's a 2 at best. He's a 2 guard, but they have him playing against 3s and 4s. when they play that small ball. So he's out of position. Then you have Draymond Green playing out of position a lot of times because he's playing against centers. And the Houston Rockets, that guy Shangoon was basically Shangoon, and who's the other guy? And Steven Adams was having their way because they're bigger and stronger. And then Shangoon, and in the case of Shangoon is younger. So a lot of decisions that Steve Kerr made really put the Golden. They was lucky to even be in the playoffs because of the decisions that Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors made. But it's going to be, unless they get somebody a big time ball player from next year, I don't see the Golden State Warriors being able to be in it next year. They got to get Giannis. I don't even think Kevin Durant. Like if they was to get Kevin Durant, convince Kevin Durant to come back, I don't think that would be enough to get them over the hump. So, in my opinion, I think they got to get Giannis if they want to make another playoff run. And that's my take on it. Like I said, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.